Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 60. We'll start on very bottom of page 59b, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. The Sugiyah, the Braita, which we're going to deal first, it's about Maga Akum, meaning when you have an idolater that touched a wine, Ahi Chavita de Chamra de Ishtakil Levarza. It's a story about a certain barrel of wine that the stopper, the bearers, had been removed, and the wine unfortunately was just coming out, spilling out. So Ata Oved Kochavim Idrei Anach Yedei Ilavei. So here he, the idol worshipper, he placed his hand on that hole, and he basically did it in order to prevent the wine from leaking. Now, Rashi explained that because, Tosfot also, that because it was such a small, and it wasn't stirring, it wasn't shikshuk as we discussed yesterday, so Amar Rav Papa called de lehadei barza chamra asir. So Rav Papa said, any wine that it basically adjuncts to the stopper, so which means the place that the wine is coming out is close to that hole, to that stopper of the part. So therefore you cannot use neither drinking nor driving benefit. That's the way Tosfot Rashi explains. There is a Ritva here, Binyan Shlomo and Rashash, that go a little different, but the whole concept is you do not have shichshuch, you don't have the act of steering, because the nekev, the hole is so small, so you cannot steer it. 60, Ve'idach sharei, the other wine in the barrel is permitted, it's okay, because the wine that the idol worshipper touched was connected to the rest of the wine, but in a way it was only from the side. That's the way Rashi explained, and it's not considered a sufficient connection to render the wine in the barrel prohibited. By contrast, if you look at the other side, which is the hole on the top of or the bottom of the barrel, all the wine in the barrel is considered connected, the wine that touched by this idolater. Now, that's basically the way Rashi explained. The question is, do you differentiate between drinking shtiyah to hana'ah, to driving benefit? There is an argument, you see it in the Ritva. Some said that it was only drinking. There is a notion in Tosfot that it's also driving benefit. Ve'ika de amrei, there is another option. Amar Rav Papa ad habarza chamra asir. Ve'idach sharei. So he basically said, Rav Papa, in the upper portion of the barrel, so until that part it's prohibited. But the other part, which is below this, the stopper, it's not an issue, it's okay. So me'ala nekev, Rashi said, it's part of the wine. Otherwise, it's not. Now, here is the Rambam, Hilchot Ma'achalot Asurot, chapter 12, and you see it also in Shulchan Aruch Yoredea 124 in the Rema. Okay, so the Rambam rules that if there was a barrel that had a hole in its side and the stopper came out, and an idol worshipper came and inserted his finger in order to prevent the wine from leaving the barrel, the wine that is between the top of the barrel and the hole is prohibited, and that which is below the hole is permitted even to drink. That's basically the second one, the Ika de Amr, the second of Papa's statement. But you see, the Ravid, on this Rambam, the Ravid disagree, and he said that it's prohibited that which is above the hole, when it's come to Anaha, driving benefit, and what's below the hole is just Shtiyah, is the prohibition against drinking. Now, this basically opinion of the Ravid is accepted both in the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch, but the Rema, as we said in Yodea 124, adds that one may sell the entire barrel wine, subtracting the value of the wine from which it is prohibited to drive benefit. In addition, he clarifies that the affirmation halacha refers specifically to the prevented portion, to have prevented the wine from leaving the barrel, and a idol worshipper did not insert. But you see here the Shach hold the really common practice. It is permitted even to drink the wine in the case of potential monetary loss. And that's basically the key final halacha with this. Amar Rav Yeimar Ketanai. Rav Yeimar said that this depends upon the Machloket Tanaim. You read it in Mishnah, Tractate Avodah Zarah, chapter 2, Mishnah number 7. Chavit, a barrel that is completed with wine, come out of Truma. So here, the situation is shenikva, that was pierced, ben mipia ben mishulea. So regardless whether it's the top or the bottom, that's usually the chaviyot cheres, the one made out of clay, because that was the time in the Talmud. Rashi said that's the way they have it in those days. Uven metzidea v'naga batvul yom tme'ah. Even it's come from the side. If one who immersed that day touch it, it is ritually impure. Even the Tvul Yom did not put his hand inside the barrel, only touch the nekev, the hole. That's basically the notion Tosfot, long Tosfot here. Dibur matchil mitzidea. So בין ונגע בו יום טמאה. רבי יהודה אומר מפיה ומשוליה טמאה, מצדי התורה מכאן ומכאן. רבי יהודה אומר מפיה ומשוליה טמאה. So Rabbi Yehuda hold that if it was pierced on its top or its bottom, so it's impure. If it was pierced on one of its sides, the one is pure, whether it was touched from here or from the other there, from Mikan or Mikan. So the Chazon Ish in Tvul Yom, chapter 5, explains that when it's come to that, the only the touching part, that's basically created a situation that is impure. But if you go by the first version of Rav Papa's statement, you follow the view of Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa said, Oved kochavim adana ve'Israel akuba chamra asir mai ta'ama. When you have an idol worshipper, he's pouring the wine from the barrel, and the Jew is holding the beaker into which is poured, the wine is prohibited. Mai ta'ama ki ka'atei mikoach oved kochavim ka'atei. So here we talk about kocho, so because it's all come from idol worshippers' actions. But Yisrael Adana ve'oved kochavim akuva, when you have the fellow Jew is pouring the wine from the barrel, and the idol worshipper is holding the beaker into which it poured. So he said that's not an issue, Chamra Sharei, V'metzaded Tzadudei Asir. So the wine is permitted, but if the idol worshipper tilt the beaker to the side, the wine is prohibited. So Rashi holds that the wine is prohibited, even hana'ah, even the drive benefits. But the Shach in Shulchan Aruch Yoredea 124 said, if a idol worshipper pour wine from a vessel that he was holding into a vessel that the fellow Jew was holding, it is prohibited to drink the wine that pour out. If a Jew pour wine from a vessel that he is holding into the vessel that the idol worshipper was holding, it is permitted to drink the wine. If the idol worshipper shook the vessel, the wine is prohibited. So here the Rema, Rabbi Moshe Weisblum, Yoredea 124, hold that the wine is prohibited only if the idol worshipper picked the vessel up and shook it or poured from it. Amar Rav Papa, Oved Kochavim Dedarei Zika Veka'ayel Yisrael Achorei. If you have a idol worshipper who carries sealed wineskin and a Jew is walking behind him and ensuring that the idol worshipper does not touch the wine itself, so obviously it's all depend upon the circumstance. Mal yashar edelo mikarkash, chasira asir dilma mikarkash. So here we differentiate. If the wineskin is full, so it's not an issue, the wine is permitted, as the wine in the wineskin is not shaken. If the wineskin is incompletely filled, the wine is prohibited. Now, why? Because the chashash, the concern is that the wine in the wineskin might have been shaken by an idol worshipper, which will have the same halacha as wine, pours libation. In the case of beaker, which is open on top, if it is full, the wine is prohibited, as perhaps the idol worshipper might have touched the wine. Dilma naga, chasira sharid lo naga. But if the beaker is incompletely filled, the wine is permitted, as the idol worshipper did not touch the wine. Now, that's the way Rashi explained the Rabbeinu Nisim Deran. You have a different way to understand this. You see also the way Binyan Shlomo explained the Rashi. But here is the Rambam, Ilchot Ma'achalot Asurot, chapter 12. In a case where an idol worshipper was carrying an open vessel containing wine, with a Jew following him, if the vessel was not full and the idol worshipper did not stir the wine, it is permitted to drink the wine. The Rema in Shulchan Aruch Yoredea 124, citing the Rashba, citing Ravid and the Rashba, holds that it is permitted even to, if he stirred the wine. If the vessel was full, then it's prohibited even to derive benefit from the wine, due to the concern that the idol worshipper touched the wine. If a Jew supervised the idol worshipper and saw to it that he did not touch the wine, then it's the total different story, so then it's permitted. Ravashi Amar, Ravashi have a different view when it's come to this. Note, Zika ben Malyahu ben Chasira Shari, Maitama ein derech nisuch bechach. So he said when it's come to the wineskin, the whole reason is because it is a way to do the manner of libation, and something that it's not. There's a whole mahalach here. Here's the Rambam in Ilchot Ma'achalot Asurot, chapter 12. He said if an idol worshipper transported the wineskin, holding its top in his hands, the wine is permitted whether or not the wineskin was full. Even if the wine is shaken in the wineskin does not render the wine prohibited, since it is not normal method of pouring. Now in Shulchan Aruch Yerodea in 125, the Shach notes that this halacha is referring to a case when the wineskin is closed. But anyway, ma'atzra zaira, so when you have a wine spread where the grapes are pressed with beams rather than trod by foot, Rav Papi Shari, Rav Ashi v'itema Rav Shimi bar Ashi asar. So here you have a disputation. Rav Papi allowed that wine versus Rav Ashi. Some said Rav Shimi bar Ashi prohibited. Now the Gemara expanded on that. Bechocho kule alma lo pligi de asir. When it's come to the direct force of that idol worshipper, so everyone agrees that that wine is prohibited. Even the one said that the idol worshipper imposed on himself by carry that, by pressing the grapes, not the wine. But we treated the Ritva also said that someone who directly does that, the disputation is kiplige bekoach kocho, when it's the force generated by his force. Ika damrei, another way to understand it, bekoach kocho kul me'alma lo plige de shari, kiplige bekochot, just the other way around. When it's come to the force generated by the idol worshipper force, everyone agreed that the wine it's permitted. The disagreement is when the wine pressed by means of the idol worshipper direct force, and Hava Uvda, it was a story, Bekoach Kochov Asar Rabbi Yaakov min Nehar Pkod. So it was one situation that Rabbi Yaakov of Nehar Pkod said that he's prohibited the wine when the idol worshipper used Koach Kochov, force of his force. Tosfot hold that there is no difference between grapes that they have the third and the fourth, versus the one that did koach kocho. But as we said, that there is a shach, and you see in general the Shulchan Aruch Yerodea in 125 that said if a idol worshipper pick up a container of wine and pour it, the wine is prohibited even if he did not agitate the wine. This is due to the fact that the wine flows as a result of direct force. In the case that everyone agree that is prohibited when it's a kocho, but if the wine was moved by means of an idol worshipper force, it is prohibited even if he moved by a force generated by his force, which we call koach kocho, as the case of Rav Yaakov Nehar Pkod. If it was moved by the force generated by his force, that's what Tosfot said, that it's no difference, but in general, meaning that there were 3 degrees of force involved, which is where there are boards, a wheel, and a beam. So the Shach and others said that it's permitted to drink the wine. But the Shach know that this leniency applies specifically only b'di'avad, only after the fact, but it's prohibited regardless of the number of forces involved, lechatchila. Hahu chavita here is a story about a certain barrel of wine. 60b, the ipak'a le'orka, which means that they split in a lengthwise from the top to the bottom. Idra'u oved kochavim kchabka. So the idol worshipper jump in and encircle it with his arm in order to prevent the wine from splitting. So they allow to sell it to idol worshipper. So now the Gemara circumscribed that ruling, and they said Hanamil defak'al orka. That specifically apply when they split lengthwise. However, aval lefutya. But if the barrel split widewise, and the idol worshipper held the top and bottom held together, that's a different story. Afilu bishtiya shari. It is permitted even for drinking. Ma'itama maseid leveina ka'avid. So basically he does like performing an action of a brick. by weighting the barrel down, and he's not doing anything to the wine. Another story, so here the idol worshipper that found standing in the wine press. So it wasn't wine there, but it was concerned that maybe it was somehow attached to. So the Rashba and the Ritva have two different perushim what exactly happened, but anyway, אמר רב אשי, איקה תופח להטפיח בידך ובניגוב, ולא בידך בעלמא סגלי. So he said, if there is enough wine in the wine spread, that it is moist enough to moisten other items, the wine spread require rinsing and require more through cleansing. That's what we're going to see on page 74b. But if it's not enough wine to moisten other item, just raising sufficient for it, so that's sufficient. Now, the Shulchan Aruch in Yoredea 129 said that if an idol worshipper is discovered near a wine press and there is a moisture that is sufficient to moisten an item, then the entire wine press require rinsing and a more through cleansing. It is not that the moist, it is sufficient to rinse it, but basically that's the view of Rav Ashi. And now we go to the Mishnah, the dealing when we are concerned that the idol worshipper really touched the wine. Here is the Mishnah Kedosha. Oved kochavim שנמצא עומד בצד הבור של יין. So here the Mishnah discusses a case in which there is a suspicion that an idolater touched a Jew wine and thereby made it prohibited as nesech wine. So if idolater was found standing next to a Jew wine cistern, so as we learned in the previous Mishnah, once the juice is squeezed from the grapes and it's flowing to the cistern, it can become nesech wine. So the law is as follows. אם שיש לו מלווה עליו אסור, אין לו מלווה עליו מותר. If the idolater has a loan against the wine, that is the wine, the Jew borrowed money from him and agreed that if he failed to repay in time, the idolater could take the wine in a cistern as payment. So therefore the wine is prohibited for benefit because it's assumed that the idolater touched the wine. But if he does not have a loan against the wine is permitted because the idolater has no concession to the wine and he is therefore afraid to touch it. So Tosfot Yom Tov said so that he will not look like a thief. Nafal leבור ve'ala. If an idolater accidentally fell into a Jew wine cistern and they came up dead, umdado bakane, and he measured the level of the wine with a reed, hetiz et hatzir'a bekane, or he flicked a hornet out of the wine with a reed without touching the wine with his hand, or shaya metapeach al chavit murtachat, or he was tapping with his hand on the opening of the foaming barrel of wine in order to knock down the foam. Bechol elu haya ma'aseh, all of these cases actually happened. Ve'amuru yimacher, and the sages who were asked about them at the time said that the wine should be sold to idolater. That is, they permitted the owner to benefit from the wine by selling it, since it's clear that the idolater did not make any libation. However, they prohibited drinking it because he nonetheless touched it. Rabbi Shimon matir, and Rabbi Shimon permits even drinking the wine in these cases. Natal et hechavit uzraka b'chamato lebo. If an idolater took the barrel and threw it into a Jew wine cistern in a fit of anger, ze haya maaseh vehechshiro. So this actually happened once, and the rabbis ruled that the wine is kosher even for drinking. So there are two reasons, Tosfot Yom Tov and others explain, to be lenient. The idolater did not intend to touch the wine, rather to throw the barrel in anger, and he touched the wine only indirectly with the barrel, and not with his hand, and therefore the wine is permitted even for drinking. But it's more on that in the Gemara. אמר שמואל, והוא שיש לו מלווה על אותו יין. So here Shmuel tells us that the halacha applies when the loan included the qualification that the idol worshipper has a lien on that wine, as only then does the idol worshipper feel that he is entitled to touch the wine. אמר רב אשי, מתניתי נמי דייקה דתנן, המתאר עינו של עובד כוכבים ונותנו ברשותו, ועלה כותב לו, התקבלתי ממך מעות. So Rashi here said, כלומר, הריני כאילו התקבלתי מעות. Obviously, it's not physically get the money. It's like, if it is like, so therefore, mutar. So he did not yet receive the payment. I think that's what Rashi meant when he used klomar. So the wine is permitted. It's because it's considered that the Jew property, and there is no reason to suppose that the idol worshipper might touch it. אבל אם ירצה לישראל להוציאו ואין מניחות שייתן לו מעותיו, זה המעשה בבית שאן ואסרו. But if he wants to, the Jew desired to remove it, and he does not allow him to do so until the Jew gives him the money, due to him, it was an incident that happened in Beit She'an, and the sages said that the wine is prohibited. The only reason is because the idol worshipper did not allow the Jew to remove the wine, and therefore the idol worshipper is considered to have some degree of ownership of the wine. So therefore, one can infer that the idol worshipper allowed him to remove the wine is permitted, even though a Jew still owe his money. So here we derive from that we require the loan to include the qualification of the idol worshipper has lien on that wine, and that's the conclusion that this is the Shmuel principles from the Mishnah. Nafale bor ve'ala, that's the Mishnah said if the idol worshipper fell into the wine collection vat and emerge, so it is not prohibited to derive benefit from the wine. אמר רב פאפא לא שנו אלא שעלה מת, עלה חי אסור. So all of that apply if he pass. Otherwise it's permitted. מה טעמה? אמר רב פאפא דדם אלה כיומי דעה. It's appear like the festival day, as they offer wine as an idolatrous libation in Thanksgiving. מדדו בקנה כל אלו היה מעשה ואמרו אם אחרי רבי שמעון מתיר. אמר רבא דברבא ינוחו לו רבי שמעון ברכות על ראשו. כשהוא מתיר אפילו בשתייה, כשהוא אוסר אפילו בהנאה, which means he goes to the extreme. When he allow even drinking. If he prohibited even to driving benefit from it. אמר רב חייא ברי, אמר סנאו איזה הלכה, אמר רב חייא ברי דאבא בר נחמני, אמר רב חיסדא אמר רב, ואמר לה אמר רב חיסדא אמר זעירי, הלכה כרבי שמעון, איכא דאמר אמר רב חיסדא אמר לי אבר בר חנן אמר אחא אמר זעירי, הלכה כרבי שמעון. For all of that, the Gemara put a conclusion, ואין הלכה כרבי שמעון. But the halacha is not according to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. נטל חבית וזרקה בחמתו לבור. זה היה מעשה והכשירו. So here's the Mishnah teach that it was a case of the idol worshipper took a barrel of wine and threw it in his anger into wine collection vat. So this was an incident that occurred and the sages deemed the wine fit for drinking. אמר רב אשי, כל שבזב טמא בעובד כוכבים עושה יין נסך, כל שבזב טהור בעובד כוכבים אינו עושה יין נסך. הייתי ורב הונא לרב אשי, נטל חבית וזרקה בחמתו לבור. זה היה מעשה בית שאן והכשירו, בחמתו אין, שלא בחמתו לא. All of that happened if it was an act of anger. Otherwise, it's not. So the Gemara said in Samech Aleph, page 61, Hatam deka'azil minei uminei. So the Mishnah is referring to a case where the barrel is not actually thrown, rather it's a propelled by the idol worshipper and then propelled by him until it reached the vat. So therefore, if the idol worshipper did so not in anger, there is no reason to be concerned that he might be touch the wine. So the Rashi here in his explanation go by what he explained on page 57, that that if idol worshipper touch the wine by other way, is make it prohibited. But you have the Ramban that disputed it. But you see also in the Machalot Asurot in the Rambam that said, if an idol worshipper roll an object, causing it to fall into a wine vat, it is prohibited to derive benefit from the wine. The Shach in Shulchan Aruch Yoredea 125 and 124 said, if you roll in anger, then it's permitted to drink it. That's basically they follow the Gemara, but the Rambam hold that even if the later case it is permitted only to derive benefit. But as we said that all of that it's only by the view of the Rashi and the Ramban have a different understanding of that, and you see it here by the end of the Tosfot, also the view of the Rashbam.